into something new, be it jewelry, artwork, or even a weapon. In many respects, Jerusalem was my forge. And looking back, I believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, was the blacksmith who pressed me from the heavens above and put me through the fire of the earth below to help me grow. The task of metallurgy appears in our Torah portion for this week, Parashat V'Ha'alotcha. As the Israelites prepare to enter Canaan, God speaks to Moshe, commanding him to instruct Aharon to light the menorah, which will illuminate the Mishkan, the holy tabernacle. Chapter 8, verse 4 of Bamidbar reads, Ze ma'aseh hamenorah miksha zahav, ad yirecha ad pircha miksha, hiv kamare asher hera Adonai et Moshe ken asa et hamenorah. This is how the candelabrum was made, of hammered gold, hammered from its base to its flowers, according to the vision that the Lord had shown Moshe. So was the lampstand made. The Hebrew word for hammered, miksha, bears the shoresh, the root, kuf, shin, he, which means hard, difficult. From this, we derive that the process of creating something beautiful involves experiencing hardship. And as the verse tells us, this process occurs according to the vision of the Lord, meaning there is something fundamental, even divinely ordained, about beauty being forged through struggle. The menorah was chosen by the National Provisional Council of the State of Israel on February 10th, 1949, to be the emblem of the new Jewish state. How fitting that a reconstituted nation, which has wrestled with God for 3,500 years, would be represented by a golden vessel of light, one forged through hard experiences. Jerusalem was the place that gave me hard experiences and shaped me into someone more capable of revealing his inner light to others. When I arrived in August 2025, I was living in a small, windowless, garage-turned apartment. My housing reflected who I was then, someone armored by strong walls of ideological convictions and professional accomplishments, academic accolades, and external validation, which prevented me and others from accessing my authentic self. As with any metallurgical process, I first had to be broken down before I could be forged into something new. When I came to Pardes, a pluralistic yeshiva, I knew I would be learning with all kinds of Jews, Reconstructionist, Reform, Masorti, Modern Orthodox, Atheist, and everything in between. What I did not anticipate was being paired during my very first week of class with a 23-year-old, self-avowed anti-Zionist as my chavruta, my learning partner, in Tanakh class. As we studied Sefer Yonah, the book of Jonah, together, I related all too well to the reluctant prophet. I asked God to throw me off this educational ship and deposit me in a fish's belly, because anything would have been better than sitting in the Beit Midrash with someone whose views I considered threatening to the well-being of Am Yisrael. My opinion had been hardened by 3 years of diplomatic engagement on behalf of the State of Israel throughout October 7th and the Swords of Iron War. I had written off the section of the Jewish people that my chavruta represented, viewing them as unworthy of serious engagement. What happened next shocked me. As our learning progressed, I was surprised by the depth and breadth of their Torah knowledge. Their command of the Mefarshim, the classical commentators, was impressive for someone their age. Their ability to translate biblical Hebrew was astounding. And the insights they offered as we parsed the text together were genuinely moving. This was one of the first chinks in my armor. My chavruta did not sway me politically, but they did sway me spiritually, for I recognized the nuance inherent in human relationships, that even with those whom we vehemently disagree with on the most fundamental issues, we can still admire qualities they possess and learn things we never could have if we judged them by a single principle alone. In time, my chavruta and I even became friends. We waded into political waters every now and then, sparring as good debaters do, but I will never forget the excellent Torah I learned from them. My ideological enemy became my pedagogical ally. It is hard to find common ground with those with whom we differ, but it is especially important for us as Jews to do so if we are to preserve our shared peoplehood. Outside of the Beit Midrash, God continued to forge me through the Torah of life. I began wearing tzitzit and a kippah, which I wore even as I walked through the Muslim quarter of the Old City on my way to the Austrian hospice for their famous strudel. While in Beersheba, I went with our beloved Sapir Oved to my first ever Memuna, the Moroccan Jewish celebration which commemorates the end of Pesach, where I met a veteran carpenter named Moshe, who gave me a window into the world of the Israeli Mizrahi working class, a community largely absent from the Anglo-Ole neighborhoods of South Jerusalem, where I lived. I prayed with religious Zionists in Gush Etzion, lived with a lesbian Orthodox woman from Canada, drank Guinness with a Harley-riding IDF commando, ate cholent in the Haredi neighborhood of Mea Shearim, spoke with Ukrainian nuns in a Russian Orthodox church, learned to meditate on shalom and salam from an Arab cab driver, and davened and dined every other week with my beloved French family, the Ghiblis, who showed me the beauty of a truly technology-free Shabbat and gave me a deep appreciation for a more traditional tefillah. None of these experiences affected me as profoundly as the war with Iran. On the morning of Saturday, February 28th, my roommate burst into my room and told me it had started and that we need to leave the house immediately. As the sirens blared outside, I grabbed a pillow, a blanket, some books, some snacks, and ran into the street in my pajamas towards the nearest public shelter. In the weeks that followed, my apartment became a kind of headquarters for the other Pardes students in my neighborhood. Between sirens, we cooked, made music, and learned Torah together, savoring every moment we were not in the shelter, not knowing how long the war would last or whether we would be safe. Everything I had learned in yeshiva was put to the test in those shelters. As I heard, and at times saw, large explosions in the sky, I prayed that no rocket or shrapnel would hit me. But as reports of impacts reached neighborhoods just 2 miles away from me, I was forced to confront some harsh yet valuable truths. That control and security in this life are largely illusions. That life is unpredictable and chaotic, and that the most valuable time any of us have is the present moment, for it is all we possess. What sustained me through those 5 weeks was the roar of the IDF fighter jets overhead, which I heard nearly every night as I tried to sleep. Having traveled to Poland in January with my Pardes cohort for a Holocaust remembrance trip, I had seen firsthand what happens to the Jewish people when we lack both sovereignty and the means to defend ourselves. Even as my faith in the ultimate aims of the war wavered, especially when it came to freeing the Iranian people from the tyranny of the Ayatollah regime, I never stopped feeling grateful that we have an army to protect our people in these times of strife. In Shemot, Exodus, chapter 25, we read God's instructions to Moshe atop Mount Sinai, describing the menorah that will eventually be constructed by the time we reach Bamidbar. You shall make a lampstand of pure gold. The lampstand shall be made of hammered work. Its base and its shaft, its cups, calyxes, and petals shall be of one piece. From this, we learn not only that the menorah is a vessel of light forged through hammering, but that all its parts, base, shaft, flowers, are of one piece. So too with life. The hardships that hammer us, war, loss, illness, or crises of faith, may seem scattered and disconnected, but they are not separate. They are fragments of a single creation, all made of the same matter. I thought I would fall in love with Israel, and I did. But part of how it changed me was showing me what love actually means. When I arrived, I thought love was a feeling. Chemistry, a dopamine rush, words of affirmation, and tender moments. But real love, deep and abiding, is something else. It is seeing a person or a place in full, taking into account their faults and insecurities alongside their beauty, and choosing to endure life's hardships alongside them, growing together in the slow work of creating something meaningful. Israel tore my walls down. It was the place where I felt the heavens press against my head, where I was forced to confront deep insecurities about my faith, sense of purpose, and who I am outside the opinions and expectations of others. And in the end, it showed me, like the prophet Jonah, that I cannot hide from God, and I cannot hide from myself. But if I choose to partner with my Creator, then all the disparate experiences that make up a life, the beautiful and painful alike, can ultimately forge me into a vessel capable of bringing more light into the world. Israel is not the setting of a morality play. It is not a litmus test for one's politics. It is not even a particularly pretty place in some parts. What it is, in fact, is a place where one experiences life with uncommon intensity, where you meet some of the bravest, most generous, and passionate people in the world. It is a place where you witness firsthand the heartbreaking weight of history and encounter Torah and Jewish tradition not as an intellectual pursuit, but as a living, breathing civilization. Don't take my word for it. I implore you to go and see it for yourself. I would like to conclude with the following Hasidic story. One day, a Polish Rebbe awoke in his bed, having had an extraordinary dream. In his dream, the Rebbe saw a treasure chest filled to the brim with gold, buried underneath the famous Charles Bridge in Prague. Mesmerized, the Rebbe packed his bags and set out on a journey to Prague to find the treasure chest. Weeks later, he arrived at the Charles Bridge. He spent hours searching underneath it for the chest, frustrated that he couldn't find it. Eventually, a soldier approached the Rebbe and said, "Jew, what are you doing?" The Rebbe calmly explained his reason for coming to Prague, informing the soldier of the dream he had had. "That's funny," the soldier replied. "Last night, I had a dream myself. I dreamt that there's an old Jew in Poland who has a treasure chest of gold hidden in his fireplace." Curious, the Rebbe returned to his home, and sure enough, the treasure chest was in his fireplace. The story, of course, isn't true. But as with any Hasidic story, there is truth to be found within it. My friends, I believe the truth of the story is this, that sometimes we must embark on a very long journey away from home to find what has always been ours to begin with. Even though I think every Jew should try to come to Israel, especially Jerusalem, if they can, at least once in their life, you don't have to travel 6,000 miles to access the greatest treasure which is the blessing and inheritance of all of us, our Torah. My blessing for all of us is this, that we lean on each other, on our Torah, and our God to carry us through the forge of existence, and that we have the faith that our struggles carry within them the ability to make us into menorot, so that we may spread light in a world that so desperately needs it. Hashem imachem, Shabbat Shalom.
Stay up here. And he hasn't even entered rabbinic school yet. The saying is that it's impossible to be a prophet in your own hometown, but I think you break that mold. I know a lot of people here watched grow up and had a hand in making you who you are today, and I can just tell you that we're all just so very, very proud of you and what you have accomplished and what you're going to accomplish moving forward. Yeah, it's really wonderful. Okay, stay here because you and your dad are going to lead us in the Kiddush, which is on page 308 in our prayer books. So everybody, let's rise.
Longer version,
right? Down to here. Okay, got it.
There's a book here if you need it, but you probably don't. Huh? 3, 8. I'm not helping. Here.
What are we reading? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'atzavanu b'shabbat kodsho. B'Ahava u'Ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron le'maaseh b'Bereshit, ki hu yom tefillah le'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki banu b'charta v'tanu kidashta mikol ha'olim b'shabbat kodshecha b'Ahava u'Ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
And before we do Hamotzi, if you'll grab the challah, just down there, want to welcome Rabbi Schwartz to the pulpit.
Rabbi, may I have a moment
Sure.
of rabbinic privilege?
Sure.
Rabbi and Dari are headed out of the country tomorrow for what sounds like a really wonderful, exciting trip full of learning. So I just want to say, may you be blessed as you go on your way.
Thank you.
May you be guided in peace. May you be blessed with health and joy on this journey. May you be sheltered by the wings of peace. May you be kept in safety and in love. And may grace and compassion guide you on all your travels and with everyone you meet.
Thank you.
Tova.
Thank you. Appreciate that a lot. We're heading to Lithuania and Latvia and Estonia, and then we'll spend a couple days in Sweden. But, my family came from the, old country. This is my great and great-great-grandparents. And they were Litvaks. They were Lithuanians. So, and they lived around Vilna and around Kovno. So I'm sort of going home. And I guess I'll have more to say about that when I get back. All right, thank you, Rabbi Schwartz. I appreciate that. And I know you had you were one of the people who had a major hand in bringing Dylan to this moment. Okay, let's join together in Hamotzi, everybody. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Adonai Oz Li'amo Yitain, Adonai Yivarech et Amo V'Shalom. Adonai will give strength to God's people. Adonai will bless God's people with peace. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, good work, man.